Welcome to Częstochowa, the spiritual heartland of Poland.
The place where millions of people come every year to pilgrimage.
So, let's get exploring the city. In the centre of Częstochowa, like many cities, there are lots of statues. This one is of Józef Piłsudski. He was an important military figure and statesman which led to the independence in 1918. Throughout Poland there are statues just like this, and it's a symbol of Polish sovereignty. Right in the centre we have a pretty epic mural by Tomasz Sentowski. This was done in 2000 and it is depicting the Tower of Babel. This is the story of how there was one language and they were trying to build a tower to reach God. However, God mixed up the languages and then they could not communicate with each other. An impressive mural in the centre of Częstochowa, and I'm sure you would agree.
Like in most Polish cities, there's a monument behind me which is for the fallen soldiers. So it depicts all the fallen soldiers, and then it's got the eagle on top, which symbolises the strength of the Polish people.
I would say this is very much a focal point in Częstochowa. You clearly drive past, and this is a massive thing that you see, and it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. Pavel, who's with us, he did recommend it could be quite a good skate ramp. So, just a thought. We have another mural by Tomasz Sentowski. This is the Time Guard, done in 2018. Look how impressive this is. This is just absolutely stunning. 1,500 metres squared. What an impressive mural. Now, I like to come to these different places that maybe tourists wouldn't come to, because you can find beauty, you can find that amazing places where you wouldn't think of. And this sums it up. Just look at what has been created in Częstochowa, a place that people don't necessarily want to come to compared to places like Kraków, Wrocław, Warszawa, Gdansk. But this is incredible. So currently, this is the train station. It is not necessarily the nicest looking train station in the world. However, here is the last remains of the previous train station. From what we hear, there is plans on a new one, but from looking at the pictures, it doesn't really look like it's trying to keep in the tradition of the city. So what are your thoughts? Do we need to modernise or not? Once again, very similar to other places in Poland, there are a lot of rundown areas which are not looked after, but the country and the cities are doing their best to try and build these locations up. So we're sort of now in the older part of the town, and you can see with the murals that are on the wall, but also even behind, you've got really nice apartments, but then they are kind of next to rundown. The walls are falling apart. So the progress is happening. It's just obviously how long it takes, but it is nice to see. And it was the same in Wrocław and other cities where the money is going in. It's just how long it's going to take to boost these places. I do potentially think this sums up Poland. So you've got this immaculate church. Now, bearing in mind the church, biggest business in the world, got all this money, all this gold, all this wealth. So you've got this small part here, which is immaculate. And then behind me, this is the old brewery. And the contrast is, look, you can see it right behind me. The contrast is insane. So, you know, you've got all this wealth for the few, and then everything else is run down. I just think it's so, well, it's in poor taste, to be honest. It's not nice when people maybe are struggling. It's, yeah, you can have your own thoughts on that, but I think it's not a great look. But the architecture is pretty amazing.
Surprisingly, this is one of the most photographed streets in Częstochowa because of the old lanterns, the narrowness, the old cobbled streets, and this is probably one of the oldest houses there are. Odd place to be the most photographed though.
So while we're in the older part of Częstochowa, this is the Stary Rynek. And although you've got the Yasnagora, the monastery, which is the main touristy spot, this is a place you have to come to see what the traditional, the older style of Częstochowa is like. Now here, for example, in the market square, you used to have the old city hall. Now it's modernized. You've got amazing statues, monuments, and you've got then the architecture of the older town. And look at the acrobats. Like, it just looks awesome. So although it's not the touristy spot, you probably should come here to check out what it may have used to be like in the city. The interesting thing about Częstochowa is that actually it was sort of two cities before. Now this part that we've just been in was Częstochowa, and then if you go all the way around, this part, the more modern part, was Częstochówka. Now it's merged into one, and this is very famous path here called the Aleja Najświętszej Maria Panny, which originally kind of linked both. This is quite famous. It goes all the way, almost from church to church. Next stop is the Yasnagora, and we follow the alley that we came down. Now that it's getting darker, all of it is lit up because obviously the time of year, but it's very, very beautiful. And then this side over here is the Yasnagora. We're going to check that out. Now, obviously, this is what Częstochowa is probably most known for, and this is what the tourists come to. And those pilgrims that we spoke about earlier, that's what they do. They come and they go all the way along to the Yasnagora.
The monastery was founded in 1382 by the Pauline monks from Hungary, and it holds a really special place in Polish history because in the 17th century this place was under siege by the Swedes, and it withstood the whole battle in 1655, and that really shows its strength in the Polish community.
So we've left there pretty early because there was a mass going on, lots and lots of people in there. But one of the things I want to point out is the Black Madonna, and that is the symbol of the Virgin Mary holding baby Jesus. But it's black because apparently of all the smoke from all the candles through the many, many years has actually turned it black. Now, I'm going to talk about the church and whatnot in the city of Częstochowa. I've already spoken about how there is potential in this city. However, the tourists come here, so the money is put into the church, and the church doesn't pay taxes, so it doesn't go back into the city to improve it. Yes, there'll be the people that come here might go on the alley, go in the restaurants and things, but they don't then go and explore the rest of the city and put money into the rest of the city. So actually, there is partly a way of saying that the church is potentially holding the city back here. That may be critical, but with my beliefs, I think that is probably pretty true. And it's a shame because I'm seeing lots of potential in this city. There are some lovely places, some places that are so close to being improved and tidied up. But I think this church, the Yasnagora, is holding the city back. If I'm being critical, then so be it, but that's my opinion anyway. Well, we finish off our trip in Częstochowa with some ice cream, hot chocolate. Did you enjoy it?
I did.
With our guides taking us around. This city, I still think, has a lot of potential, but you got to come here. You got to come here and see what you can find in Częstochowa and not just the monastery. Go and explore. But I hope you enjoyed, hope you've learned something a little bit different about a city in Poland that is less known to foreigners. If you did, obviously, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Do widzenia.